From Game Clockwork Orange Finland, 11 minutes and 30 seconds. This is Åke Tyvi, and in this episode, few jokes for you. These should keep the corners of the mouth upwards and thus stressing fewer face muscles than sulking, at your own risk and without any warranty. Annual 8 rowing competition. Finnish and Japanese company decided to arrange their annual 8 rowing competition. Both teams had been practicing hard a long time for the race. When the contest day finally arrived, both teams thought they were in a top shape. But for some reason, the Japanese won outstanding over half a mile. After the loss, defeatism prevailed among the Finns. However, Finnish company's top management decided for image reasons that they had to win the next year's competition. Therefore, they set a project group to solve out the problem. After long and in-depth analysis, the group made an observation Japanese having 8 rowers and 1 at the helm, whereas Finns had 1 rower and 8 at the helm. In this crisis situation, the Finnish management showed remarkable performance carrying decisions into action. Consultants were hired for running research on team assembly. After a few months' work, the experts came into a conclusion that the team has too many drivers and too few rowers. Based on a report written by the consultants, executed the corporate management immediate changes to the Finnish team's composition. Now the team had 4 helmsmen, 3 first mates, a team leader and a rower. An additional bonus point system was developed to motivate the rower. We have to expand his job description and give him more responsibility, thought the Finnish corporate management. Next year the Japanese won by a mile and a half. Finnish team sacked the rower based on his poor work performance, but did however pay the bonus to the corporate management for the effort they had shown. Currently, Finns are now developing a new boat for the coming year. Visiting mental hospital. Journalist visiting mental hospital was interested in to know how they make their mind up on institutionalizing a person or not. So he asked the manager and a leading psychiatrist of the hospital about the procedure. The leading psychiatrist replied, "It's easy. We will fill a bath tube with water and hand over the patient a spoon, a coffee mug, and a bucket. Then we ask the patient to empty the tub." "Oh, I see," replied the journalist and carried on excitedly. "A normal human being would use the bucket because it's larger than the spoon or the coffee mug." "Well, not exactly," replied the manager and said, "a normal human being would pull the plug out of the tub so it can drain. By the way, would you like to have the bed next to the window?" NASA's Apollo project. NASA was preparing for the Apollo project. When NASA was preparing for the Apollo project, some of the training of the astronauts took place on a Navajo reservation. On one day, a Navajo elder and his son were herding sheep and came across the space crew. The old man, who spoke only Navajo, asked a question that his son translated. "What are these guys in these big suits doing?" A member of the crew said they were practicing for their trip to the moon. The old man got all excited and asked if he could send a message to the moon with the astronauts. Recognizing a promotional opportunity, the NASA folks found a tape recorder. After the old man recorded his message, they asked his son to translate it. He refused. The NASA PR people brought the tape to the reservation, where the rest of the tribe listened and laughed, but refused to translate the elder's message. Finally, the NASA crew called in an official government translator. His translation of the old man's message was, "Watch out for these guys. They have come to steal your land." Tommy bought a horse. A young guy called Tommy bought a horse from a farmer for $550, and the farmer agreed to deliver the horse to Tommy the following day. The next day, though, the farmer turned up at Tommy's house and said, "Sorry, son, but I have some bad news. The horse died." Tommy replied, "Well, then just give me the money back. That's fine." The farmer said, "Sorry, can't do that. I went and spent it already." Tommy then answered, "Okay, then just bring me the dead horse." The farmer was surprised and asked Tommy, "Why? What you gonna do with him?" Tommy replied, "I'm going to raffle him off." The farmer laughed and said, "You can't raffle off a dead horse. Who would buy a ticket?" Tommy answered, "Sure I can. Just watch me. I just won't tell anyone the horse is dead." A month later, the farmer met up with Tommy again and asked, "What happened with that dead horse in the end? Did you raffle him off?" Tommy said, "I sure did. I sold 500 tickets at $5 apiece." The farmer asked, "Didn't anyone complain?" Tommy smiled and replied, "Just the guy who won, so I gave him his $5 back." Variation of the previous joke, Tommy's horse, Tommy bought a horse, I have heard before. This one. On one morning, Romani with his son were on their way to a market on a horse. As they were approaching the city where the market was held, the old horse, when they were riding, became very ill. It suddenly collapsed to the side of the road and died. "Now we have nothing to sell on the market," said the boy to his father and continued, "How on earth are we now going to survive?" while he was crying. "Son, you stay here next to the horse and wait until I return from the market. You do not move anywhere from the horse. Do you understand?" replied his father, and started to walk towards the marketplace. At the market, the Romani raffled off 500 tickets of his horse at $5 apiece. After all tickets were sold, a lucky winner was drawn publicly in front of those having participated in the market. The winner was brought in front of the people and everybody cheered him. After this, the Romani told to the winner, "Your prize is close to the town, so let's walk there and you can collect your horse. I left my son to guard him." And so they started walking the road leading out from the city. As they approached the spot where the Romani had left in the morning, they noticed his son. "Look, there's my son. We are not far away. Let's hurry," said the Romani to the winner next to him. And after a few minutes they finally arrived at the spot where the son was. Suddenly the Romani man looked very surprised and said to the winner next to him, "For heaven's sake, looks like your horse has passed away." "Well, never mind, I will return your ticket. Here's your $5 back." Crocodile Wrestler. A multimillionaire living in Darning, Australia, decided to throw a party and invited all of his buddies and neighbors. He also invited Brian, the only Aborigine in the neighborhood. He held the party around the pool in the backyard of his mansion. Everyone was having a good time drinking, dancing, eating prawns and oysters from the barbecue and flirting. Then at the height of the party, the millionaire said, "I have a 15-foot man-eating crocodile in my pool and I will give $1 million to anyone who will join him in the pool." The words were barely out of his mouth when there was a loud splash. Everyone turned around and saw Brian in the pool fighting madly with the crocodile, jabbing it in the eyes with his thumbs, throwing punches, headbutting it, getting it in chokeholds, biting its tail and flipping it through the air like some kind of martial arts expert. The water was churning and splashing everywhere. Both Brian and the crocodile were screaming and raising hell. Finally, after what seemed like an age, Brian strangled the crocodile and let it float on top of the pool like a dead goldfish. An exhausted Brian wearily climbed out of the pool with everybody staring at him in disbelief. The millionaire said, "Well, Brian, I reckon I owe you $1 million then." "Nah, you're all right, boss. I don't want it," said Brian. So the millionaire said, "Man, I have to give you something. You won the bet. How about $500,000? "No, thanks. I don't want it," Brian insisted. Then millionaire said, "Come on. I insist on giving you something. That was amazing. How about a new Porsche, a Rolex, and some stock options?" Once again, Brian said, "No." Confused, the rich man asked, "Well, Brian, then what do you want?" "I want the bastard who pushed me in," said Brian. The elephant. American, French, German, and Finn were on a safari in Africa when they suddenly came across an elephant. American thought, "I wonder how much this elephant could be worth of. If I kill the elephant and sell its meat, then I must make a decent profit." German was thinking, "I wonder how could I use this elephant to benefit it in my factory." French looked at the elephant and thought, "I wonder what kind of food could I make from this elephant." Well, how about the Finn then? He was thinking silently, "I wonder what the elephant thinks about me." That's all, folks, today.